Saturday, I start my day. Wake up. Get licked. Get dressed. Let dogs out. Feed them. Drink some tea. Reevaluate my decisions. Get online. Turn on zero. Going into the tournament, I was I don't know if the right word is scared or nervous or anxious, but I was definitely uncomfortable. Not uncomfortable with the people or the way it was set up, but just uncomfortable with my skill. I wasn't really scared of losing. I was more scared of making a misplay in front of my peers. This video is not scripted. It's more just kind of off of like notes I took during my games. After having a day to sit on and process what happened yesterday, I want to now kind of share with you my thinkings, my feelings. I will not be talking about the games that I won, just out of respect for the people I played against. I think it will be more important to talk about the games that I lost, because every game that I lost, it feels like it was more my fault than it was getting trigger screwed. Going into round one, I felt a sense of calm once the game actually started. I had played so many games with my lead deck, which was Kagero, that I felt very comfortable. So after being able to win round one, it kind of gave me just a good starting point. I went into the tournament not expecting to win any games. So the fact that I'd already won round one, it kind of gave me this immediate fulfillment in getting done what I needed to.
Tricky because again he's looking for what trigger just to actually hit, but unless he's just gonna push.
So the fact that I then won round two and round three.
That was my first loss. Losing the first round really just kind of like puts you into this weird uphill battle where you feel like you're slugging behind now. And even if you win the second round, it's not safe. I don't know, dude. I'm shaking. I shake a lot during this. I don't know, dude. Hey, Kylie, how'd I do? Yeah. Thank you.
I think if anything, that kind of messed me up because it kind of gave me, I don't know if the right word is, false self-confidence. I just looking back on it, feels like going into round four where I played against Living Proof that I had some confidence but also fear because I knew how good Living Proof was. I was able to win game one. That was mainly because he misrode. He wasn't able to get to his side read. So that just kind of gave me the advantage. And he was never able to really catch up because I would just keep sniping the stuff in his back row. This is where I noticed that turn one was where I would start to misplay in almost every one of my games. What I mean by that is I would be so intent on trying to get rid of everybody's conros or mecha trainers or whatever that I would damage deny them in hope that they would rush me so I could then retire with Gwyn or with Amon. But then I would not be able to capitalize on it. So I effectively wasted my turn ones in a lot of my games. Going in round two, I was obviously not able to keep up with his skill level with Spike Brothers versus my with my really rough around the edges Dark Irregulars build. In other ways, he was also able to like outplay me too. So I don't think, even if I did have all the pieces I wanted, I don't think I would have changed much. Round three was the one that hurt the most because he rode Vortex Dragon. and I thought I had the game right there because I was like, oh, cool. Like, same with round 1. He misrode, so I can just run away with the game. And I just couldn't seem to capitalize on it. Even the commentators were pointing out that, like, him being able to nuke the board and just have this ticking time bomb at all times, I just wasn't able to get around it.
I got my ass kicked.
Going into round 5, I am now on the chopping block. I have now a 3-to-1 ratio. I was higher up because I did have more games where I went 2-0, so I really wanted to win this round to kind of guarantee me a spot in top 8. In this game, I went up against 50 cards. He is someone who I've kept up with a lot since his kind of championship run during the Japanese meta. There was this amazing play on his final turn in round 1 where he was able to hit the 1 stand trigger still in his deck and be able to restand his perfect riser and get past the last of my PGs in hand. It was pretty cool. I was able to win round 2, and I think that's just because I'm more comfortable playing Kagero than he is. And then going into round 3, I don't really remember what happened off the top of my head. I didn't write anything down, but I don't remember anything special. I think he was just able to outplay me. But yeah, that stand trigger, that play is burned into my brain. Like, that, it was pretty sick. So this meant at the end of round 5, the end of the Swiss portion of the tournament, I was 3-2, and there was a lot of us with a score of 3-2. I was able to get 6th place. Going into top 8, I was able to win my first match, which got me into the semifinals. I was then paired up against 50 card again, who I'd recently just lost to, and I was really wanting to win this one. This one meant a lot to me to win. I was able to win round 1. He did pull a 6 damage heal during that game, but I was still able to capitalize on my board state. During round 2, I just couldn't get any boosters to make any hittable columns because he was on his 11k Assure Kaiser, and I had all these 10ks and 9ks in my hand, and then no boosters except for the PGs in hand. I don't know if, looking back on it, I should have called one of the PGs to just make a second hittable column. Obviously, I lost, so I did something wrong, but I don't know if that would have been enough to be able to take the game. And then, that last game of the semifinals was just such a... Let me like kind of paint the board just so I can like kind of explain my thought process, which, I mean, I guess it's kind of obvious. I choked. I had NLK in my hand. I decided to ride NLK, knowing that it would be able to swing at his Vanguard this turn. He had 2 cards in hand. I was able to pop his Conroe, so he doesn't have any guaranteed PGs in hand, but I just made the bad call of thinking that one of them was going to be a PG. So he was at 2 damage. I had 3 units out that could hit his Vanguard. I decided to swing rear guard, take him to 3. I then had the choice of swinging Gwyn boosted, take him to 4, and then NLK, or save Gwyn and then have him take out a rear guard, because both my units in the front were interceptors. I guess I made the wrong decision because when I swung NLK, no PG popped up, so it took him to 5. Yeah, I choked. I could have swung Gwyn and then NLK, but it's all good. It was a great game. Besides that, it was a great round in the semifinals against 50 card. He was a good sport about it. I jumped onto his live stream just to see what he thought about it, and he was very understanding of the gravity of the mistake I made. So at least he wasn't like trying to point out my mistakes. He was very understanding of that. Yeah, I misplayed and he won, but I think at the same time he did deserve the win because he at all times made the right calls.
So that's it. I misplayed to 50 card, which was really sad, but it was good. It was good.
After this game, I was kind of under the impression that I was done playing now. I thought that, I don't really know what I was thinking at this point. We had been playing for like 6+ hours, something like that. So I just like jumped in the shower, just kind of refreshed myself. I hadn't eaten yet. I was just kind of relaxing, and then I checked, and I guess they wanted us to play for third place, which is fine. A part of me was just like, can we just play rock, paper, scissors, or like flip a coin, or just whoever has, I don't know. I just was not in the mood to play anymore. But I still wanted to try. I thought my opponent, Hongwai, I think is his name. I hope I'm not saying that wrong. But I got to see one of his games against Living Proof, and he had some interesting decks. So I really wanted to try my hand at it. I won round 1. I don't really remember what happened. My girlfriend, who was with me the whole time, she pointed out that in the last few rounds, like once I got into top 8, my like hands were shaking. So like when I was making plays, I was like, my hand was like shaking as I was like doing it. And I couldn't tell if it was just because I was hungry or I needed to like go to the bathroom or. Round 2 was crazy because, so I feel like I did lose. I 100% lost. I deserved a loss. I lost the deck out. And that's just because I went a little too aggro with my soul charging. And then game 3, I was just felt like an uphill battle the whole time. The second he rode Imperial Daughter, I was like, okay, I can't get past it. I did have a booster. I was debating on my columns because I had NLK. My thought process of swinging NLK with the soul charging was that I would be able to make it to my next turn. I just wanted to get past his PGs in hand, just because I felt like I was going to be able to outsource him. But then I realized at the end of my turn, I was like, oh wait, I don't have any interceptors. Like I had 2 PGs in hand, and I just told my girlfriend that, oh, he's playing OTT. He probably has Silent Tom. And then he called it, and then I had to hope for my last heal, and I didn't get it. It was funny because then I jumped on the live stream, and apparently he top decked the Silent Tom. I still think he would have been able to get past my Vanguard because he would have just had to make one hittable column in addition to his Vanguard. And I think he did have the resources in hand. He rode Amaterasu. And yeah, I think he had game no matter what. But yeah, it was a crazy time. It was a crazy 8 hours of my day. Probably my life, if anything. So I did end up getting 4th place because of that. I guess, like I said, I think the biggest mistake I made out of all of my games, with combination of all my games, was I was a little too conservative on my turn 1s, where I probably could have dealt them some early game damage and chose to try to prioritize getting rid of their starters. And in some games, that just put me too far behind and I just would not be able to catch up. And then obviously there's the 50 card turn where I choked. I don't know if that will stay with me for a long time because it wasn't a misplay in the way of like, oh, I like laid the wrong card or I did the math wrong. I just predicted that he had a PG in hand, and obviously he didn't. And you should, at most times in your life, like in other games, I decided to go for game instead of try to survive another turn. I guess I just chose at a bad time. I did not believe in NLK. That's why I lost. That's why I was really glad that I was able to kind of make a return investment on him in that last round where I went up against Hongwai, and I just swung face just to pay my respect to the guy that got me there. That was my only NLK. Besides just thanking Rodney and the other Vision peeps, the commentators that showed up, all the players I got to meet and talk to and participate with. I think someone I need to thank is Amon. Honestly, every game that I didn't have him in my hand, I would look over at my girlfriend and be like, I need him on, come on, and I would just imagine it pop up, and every time he popped up, he came and rescued me. He was my boy. He was my savior almost every game. I didn't win every time that I got to him, but he always showed up when I needed him, and that just kind of made me appreciate bringing Dark Irregulars to the game. Going into the tournament, I knew I was going to be playing with my Kagero deck that I had been playing a lot of games with. But since this was a 2-deck format, I was debating then between my incomplete Nova Grappler deck and my incomplete Dark Irregulars deck. And I feel like a lot of players were in this boat of having like their one strong complete deck and then just like trying to get the pieces together for a second deck. I decided that even though Nova Grappler, like Perfect Riser, is the better deck, I felt like because I had 4 Amon, that my Dark Irregular deck was more consistent. Playtesting with the deck, I only had 1 NLK and 1 Adel Rose and 1 Gwyn the Ripper, and I was having a lot of trouble playtesting the deck because I kept running into like VP farmers, so it was really hard to like playtest and work out the kinks of the deck. I was like trying to play around with Imprison Angel just to have like maybe an 11k butt. I'm gonna make a full deck profile on it to like show off the weird kind of build I was going for, but just know that the night before I turned in my deck list, I decided to go 5 packs into the Dark Irregulars gotcha pull, and I was able to pull an Adel Rose and 2 Gwyn the Rippers. So I was able to add those into my deck and just kind of like build it a little more competent, just to the point where I felt a little more confident in the build that I was bringing. Overall, it was an amazing experience. Thank you everyone who participated. Thank you anyone who watches this. I definitely think I would try again if they invited me back, even though it did something to my health. I don't know if it's for the positive or negative, but I definitely think I could use more of that in my life. Okay, that's all I got. I'm exhausted. I'm still dead from yesterday. So thank you very much.